Hey YouTube, I got another video. In this one we're going to be talking about the fix for the Intel 13 and 14th gen CPUs that have been having this serious problem that requires you to RMA the processor if you're running into the problem. For those of you that are not running into the problem, you're going to want to do this fix ASAP because who wants to have to deal with an RMA once problems start cropping up? So the 129 microcode from Intel has been released to various motherboards, and now the motherboard manufacturers like Asus, MSI, Gigabyte, ASRock have started publishing the downloads on their support sites. So if you have one of these CPUs, you definitely want to do this update. So we're going to be detailing the entire process of how to essentially update the BIOS on an Intel Z790 motherboard. But first, a word from our sponsor. We often talk a lot about video game performance when comparing PC hardware on this channel. But are you thinking about what it would be like to program games to better take advantage of the hardware? That brings me to the sponsor of this video, Southern New Hampshire University, or SNHU. Southern New Hampshire University's online game development program gives you the knowledge and experience to create your own video games and help turn it into an actual career with opportunities for growth. You'll learn how to bring characters and environments to life with 2D and 3D modeling, texturing, and game physics, how to create dynamic and challenging experiences developing game AI. The university program covers major programming languages like C++, C#, and Java, all fundamental to game programming. The courses are taught by faculty with real-world experience, so you'll have opportunities to connect and network with people in industry. The university also helps after graduation with the job hunt process. SNHU is accredited and has radically affordable tuition. SNHU is voted one of the country's most innovative universities by US News and World Report. Go to snhu.edu/GTR, also linked in the description of this video, to see if you qualify for SNHU's game development program or to simply learn more. You might be eligible for financial aid or have previous college credits transfer over to fast-track your degree at SNHU. Click the link to get started. So once you're on your computer, you're going to want to have a USB thumb drive so you can copy over the BIOS that has the fix. And then you also need to know the actual motherboard model that you're using. So in my case, I have a Z790 Aorus Master. This is a revision 1.0. Just make sure you download the BIOS for the correct motherboard. Otherwise, it won't work. On the website, you're going to go to the support link. It's going to be on the upper right-hand side. So you click on support. And then the first tab for Gigabyte is going to be the downloads section over here. And we're going to want to go down here where it says BIOS, where it says the BIOS. You click on that, and then it's going to populate this whole table. You're going to scroll back up to the top of the page, and the latest one, so this one here, in this case, F14F. Now with Gigabyte BIOSes, if there is a lowercase number after the number itself, so in this case it's 14F, the lowercase f indicates that this is a beta BIOS. If you see a BIOS that has just the number, so like in this case of this older BIOS from May, F13. F13 is an official BIOS. This is not a beta BIOS. But this F14F has a letter next to it, which means it's a beta BIOS. So this is the latest one. And then as we can see here in the description, you want to read on the right-hand side the release notes to figure out if the BIOS has the change. So in this case, where it says number 2, update microcode 0x129 to address sporadic vCore elevation behavior announced by Intel. So this sentence is the main sentence that actually tells us that this BIOS contains the so-called microcode fix for the 13th gen and 14th gen CPUs. What it's going to do is it's going to limit the current draw so that I think it can't exceed a certain amount, maybe 400 amps or something, and then the vCore, as far as I know, cannot exceed 1.5 or 1.55 volts. I forget the exact maximum, but it introduces voltage at current limits, and that's supposed to fix the problem. And then all this other stuff was in previous BIOSes, so this stuff has nothing to do with the change. So it's mainly this one right here. So we're going to download this. Once this is downloaded, you're going to want to copy it over. You're going to want to copy it over, and in this case, I've already downloaded it, so I have it here at the very bottom of this thumb drive directory. So Z790 Aorus Master.f14f, that's the BIOS file. Make sure that's on your thumb drive, and then now we're going to reboot the PC and get into the BIOS and then do the update, and we're going to show that next. Okay, so once you're in the BIOS, you guys can see here, I'm in the BIOS, and to get into the BIOS, for those that don't know, After you restart the computer, or if you shut down the computer, when the computer is coming back up, you want to keep tapping the delete key until you get into the BIOS. When the postcode beep happens, you definitely want to be pressing the delete key so you can get into the BIOS. That is the old school and the easiest and most reliable way to get into the BIOS without even really thinking about anything else. So once we're in the BIOS, you can kind of see this is what it looks like. This is the UEFI interface. What we want to do is down here where it says Q flash. This is specific to Gigabyte's BIOS. If you're on an MSI BIOS, it's going to be called M flash, but it's going to be the same thing. So Q flash, and then ASRock and ASUS have their own name for their things, but Gigabyte uses the name Q flash. So it says F8 there. We're going to press F8 on the keyboard. That's going to take us into this menu here. And you can see it tells us Aorus Master, BIOS version F14E. And you can see this is the current version that I'm running. So I've had this BIOS since July. So we're going to click on Update, or you can press Enter, and then it's going to default to your thumb drive. This is why you want to make sure you have a thumb drive that's formatted for FAT32 or FAT16 connected with the BIOS file copied over to it, to the root directory of it. So in this case, this is the root directory of that thumb drive. But then down here, we have a Z790 at the very bottom, Z790 Aorus Master.F14F. This is the latest BIOS that we just downloaded and copied over to this drive. So we're going to select this file, and then you're going to click on the little right arrow or press Enter, and then you hit Enter again, and then now it's saying current flash is this one, the new one will be this one. So once you hit any key on the keyboard, it's going to begin this process. Now, it is very important that while this process is undergoing, you do not want to turn off the computer at all. You want to let this run. So if you're in like a thunderstorm while this is happening, you do not want to do this. If you're in a situation where you could lose power because you could brick the motherboard and then you have to use BIOS flashback to recover. So anyway, that's kind of the warning. So this does carry some risk, but this is for the greater good of fixing the CPU problem and preventing it from happening. So we're going to hit the spacebar. In order to make complete update, system is going to shut down. Q flash will continue after restart. Okay, so we're going to press Enter again. And then now it's going to turn back on. All right, here we go. There's the post beep. So it's going to come up. Wait for it. Wait for it. Anytime. There we go. Aorus. And once it goes past this, it's going to do the BIOS update. Just watch. It's running its UEFI shell script here to do the BIOS. There we go. So there. It does take a while, but I want to show this in real time without making any cuts or edits to the video, so you guys can get an idea of how long you have to wait for this to complete. So now it's going pretty fast once it's actually updating. But this is the moment where you do not want to mess with the computer. You don't want to be connecting and disconnecting things. You don't want to be, because you do not want the power to shut off. Like, the computer has to be powered while it's doing this, because it's flashing the ROM chip with the new microcode. It's replacing the old one. So this one's going away and this new one's taking over. So we're just going to sit here and watch it complete. In this case, it's going pretty fast now at the end. And there you go. Reboot in 5 seconds. So you can either press Enter to make it happen immediately, or you can just let it do it on its own. So I'm just going to let it do it on its own. So after doing this, it's going to default everything as though it was factory, although it's on the newer microcode. So any sort of overclock, any XMP profile or Expo profile that you had enabled, you're going to have to redo that because it's now factory defaults. There we go. All right, I'm going to start tapping the delete key. Mash that delete key. Delete, 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 delete. Come on, get in there. Get in there. Just mash that delete key. Give me the BIOS. Give me the BIOS. Delete, delete, delete. Go, go, go. Okay. All right, we're in. Like I said, it's going to work itself out. All right, so in the top left, BIOS version F14F. This is the latest one that has the microcode. Microcode 129. So this computer is now quote unquote fixed and absolved of the potential for the degradation problem. So it is now like blessed by Intel with holy water. It's good. Okay, so once you're back in Windows, we can verify the behavior now. And it looks like PL1 and PL2 are both now equal to 253. So it looks like that unlimited power mode that existed previously is completely gone now, at least from the stock behavior. So we're going to do a Cinebench run with R23 to see if the performance has been affected. Now, I don't expect single core to be affected, but I expect multi-thread to be a little bit affected. So here we go. So the core temperature, it's getting up to 80. What is our... Okay, our package power is up to 250. We're hitting 100 degrees Celsius, as you guys can see over here. So it is thermal throttling. It says thermal throttling equals yes. Core thermal throttling, yes. So that's not good, but you guys can see our score is lower. It is lower. With the new microcode update, with a 13900K, I'm only able to score around 34,556 points. So that is a significant drop in the performance after doing this microcode update. Now it could be that because I'm thermal throttling, that could explain it, but there is a loss in performance now due to the newer limits on the voltage and the current. So just keep that in mind, but I would rather take performance loss with 100% stability and no risk of damage to the processor over time compared to the former. So hope you guys found this video useful, and I recommend that you guys do this update if you have one of these CPUs that are potentially at risk of being degraded and damaged, forcing an RMA. So let me know in the comments what you guys think, and I will catch you guys in the next video. Thanks.